One of the benefits of coming and visiting Herbie Spices is the fact that you get to experience all of our tester jars. So we have tester jars of every single herb and spice blend that we make. So if you come and you want to see the difference between the Kashmiri saffron and the Iranian saffron, or you want to know what Ras El Hanout smells like, or why would we use rose petals in our fragrant sweet spice, you can smell these, you can look at them, and our friendly staff can explain them to you. Today I'm going to talk to you about pepper. Now, to start with, there are actually two different things that are called pepper. All the members of the chili family are referred to as peppers, but what we're talking about today are peppercorns. Now, would you believe peppercorns are the most traded spice in the world, and they come from a tropical climbing vine that is native to the south of India. The black peppercorns that we see are peppercorns that are harvested from this vine by hand, and then the peppercorns are put out in the sun to dry. What happens when they're put out in the sun is that a naturally occurring enzyme, which is in the skin of the peppercorn, the bit we call the pericarp, that is activated by the heat of the sun. And what that does, that creates the oil that gives black pepper its characteristic flavour. You know, when you freshly grind black peppercorns, you get that beautiful aroma. Think of the oiliness that's in that aroma, because that's the oil that is on the outside of the peppercorn. Then in the heart of the peppercorn, you will see that it is white, and that's actually where the hottest part of the pepper is. So, I hear you asking me, how do they make white pepper? Well, white pepper comes from exactly the same vine. And what they do is they harvest the peppercorns when they're starting to ripen. So they will turn from green to yellow and ultimately to pink. And they're harvested around about that yellow to pink stage. They are then immersed in water for a period of about a week, a process called retting. They're taken out of the water, they're macerated to rub off that outer skin, and then they're dried in the sun. Now remember, it was the skin that contained the enzyme that made black pepper black. So what you get with a white peppercorn is the heart of the peppercorn with the skin removed. White pepper is hotter than black pepper, and it has a completely different flavour because it doesn't have that beautiful, lovely, oily aroma that we get from black pepper. Then, of course, you'll see green pepper. Now, green pepper can sometimes be purchased in brine, and it's put in brine because the brine inhibits the enzyme reaction and it stays green. The most common way to see green pepper is green pepper that is dried. And what they do with that is they boil the green peppercorns for a period of around about 15 or 20 minutes, which kills the enzyme that turns the pepper black, and then they're dried. So that's why you can get dried green peppercorns. Now, pink peppercorns are a different story completely, and that's partly because it's almost impossible to dry the peppercorn when it is pink, because when it's ripe, it's very friable and it will fall apart very easily. However, there is a variety which is called Kampot pepper. And these Kampot peppercorns, they're not pink, but they have a slightly reddish hue. These are peppercorns that are actually ripe when they're harvested. They are initially dried in the shade so that they don't have that heat of the sun that turns them completely black. So notice they've got this little bit of a pinkish hue to them. They are quite sweet because remember, as something ripens, the sugars increase, and these Kampot peppercorns have got a lovely fragrant sweetness to them. There is yet another pink peppercorn, and this is one that creates a lot of confusion. This pink peppercorn is not a true peppercorn at all, and it's not very hot. It is a member of the Shynus species of trees. It is called a Shynus terebinthifolius. It has a slightly pine-like flavour profile, a little bit like juniper. And the one little word of caution that I mention is that you should not put these pink peppercorns in a pepper mill because they have a very friable husk and an oily centre, and they will clog the mechanisms of most pepper mills. So there we are. Pepper, which is something that we're all terribly familiar with. I think it's still the only spice that you get free on an airline. And it is something that has an amazing history, and if you want to know more about it, you can always contact us at Herbie Spices.